Welcome to the Posture Podcast, episode number 1. I am your host, Dr. Spence, the Posture Doc, and I want to bring everybody into this world of improving their posture. Why would we want to help people to improve their posture? Well, let's dig in a little bit back into my background. I am a chiropractic physician. I've been in practice for over 2 decades, of which most of that time we have been helping people that have been involved in a car crash. I am a car crash specialist, but I'm also an upper cervical specialist, which means the neck is the area that I have spent and dedicated my entire career towards. Now, what does that mean to you? What that means is that the neck is an area that I can help. I have helped so many people that have been struggling with an injury, that have been struggling with chronic pain, that have been struggling with chronic symptoms like headaches, foggy brain, balance issues, things that are associated very directly with bad posture, injury, just all of that stuff. So I live in a moderately small city, which means that I have a small amount of reach. But I have also been tasked and challenged and charged, probably the best word. I've been charged with this drive, with this passion to help people who have been injured. And not just within the people that live in my city, but amongst the people of the world. So I wanted to start this podcast to really help anybody. Now, I've talked with people in Scotland. I've talked with people in Germany. I've talked with people within the United States. I've talked with people in Canada. I've talked to people all over the world specifically about this problem. And we have found that most of the time people struggle because of little things that can be corrected, changed, manipulated within their own life, the way that they do things. And so I just felt this being compelled to try to help as many people as possible. And that is the reason why I have started the Posture Podcast. Now, you probably see I've got shorts on there. I've got some videos. I am going to be adding to that, but I really want to focus on the Posture Podcast. Now, why would I want to do that? What I have discovered is that I do really, really well when somebody asks me a question so that I can then answer. I have a harder time to try to come up with a topic and just kind of expound upon that. So the point of the Posture Podcast is really to have the people that are watching, that have questions, that have concerns, to be able to submit those questions. And I'm going to create an email specifically for those to submit their questions. Now, if you want to put them in the comments below, that works too. That's great. But if you don't want to submit those questions for the public eye and you want this to be more of an anonymous question, I am going to put the podcast email link in the description below. And the point, again, is just so that people can ask their questions. I love answering questions. I don't know why it is that I love answering questions so much, but I feel a greater compassion to answer questions that have been asked to me directly about them so that I can answer them. All right, now let's talk a little bit about what the podcast is going to address. One thing that I know that I am going to be talking about is posture. Now, why posture? What we have found, and the research is there, and I can even include this within a lot of the episodes that I'm going to release from this point forward, but the research proves there's so much evidence out there that proves that when somebody has bad posture, that the amount of gravitational forces on their spine is going to create degeneration. Degeneration happens from under 2 things. One, it is either due to instability, whether there is damage to a ligament, meaning a tear, a micro tear, a macro tear. If it's also a connective tissue disorder that has created an instability, the ligaments are just too stretchy, any of those things, if it creates that excessive pressure, it is going to create degeneration. Now, the body is going to do this because it wants to make sure that it stabilizes where there's instability. we have to understand, we have to remember that the spine has nerves that come off of it. And if the spine has nerves that come off of the spine, those nerves go to the rest of your body. They are the ones that the brain utilizes to tell the target tissues, the nerves, or sorry, the skin, the muscles, the bones, the organs, the systems. These are the areas that we'll call the target tissues. The brain uses these nerves to communicate to the target tissues to tell them what to do to keep you, the system, the collective whole, to be healthy and to stay alive. If you have instability, you are going to have inflammation. Inflammation is one of the worst enemies that our body can have. There's diets out there that are known as the anti-inflammatory diet or an anti-inflammatory protocol, because inflammation is so bad for the system. And so your body is going to stabilize it to try to protect it as much as possible. And if you do not have the ability to protect itself from the instability, then that's the only course of action that the body has. The second thing that causes the body to go into a state of reaction is, first is going to be instability. The second is going to be fixation, where the body just isn't moving. And so if your body does not have the ability to move, then it's going to create additional problems with this thing. Now, the degeneration, a lot of people don't understand what degeneration is, the exact same thing as arthritis. And so if you are dealing with degeneration or arthritis, they're in essence the same thing. So we're going to talk a lot about the inflammatory response of the body. We're going to talk about how the chronicity or the chronic nature of the body to create stability. We're going to talk about how things that you can do at home to be able to try to change these things to make it so that you don't develop this chronic inflammation which leads to arthritis. That is primarily the main point, the main focus of the Posture Podcast. I want to try to help as many people as I can to avoid dealing with the chronic problems, the constant pain, the things that make life miserable for many people. I want to help that. And the only way that I know how to help that is by communicating the knowledge that I have gained over the last 2 decades. Actually almost close to 3 decades now if you want to include school, to be able to help them with that knowledge as much as I can. And it can only happen, I can only have that reach through something like this Posture Podcast that I am going to have on YouTube. Now, I have created a program. That program is very specifically designed to help as many people as possible through a fitness program. So everything that I am going to be talking about, I will relate back to this program because I have found through the clinical trials and experience that I've had with my patients that if we can help somebody to strengthen the backup system, the muscles, then when the primary system, the ligaments, are not capable of doing their job, your body has a redundancy system that we need to strengthen. Right now, if you have ligament instability, you don't quite have the capability to stabilize your spine, which means that your body is going to deal with symptoms. Nobody wants to have symptoms. Symptoms, strangely enough, are one of your body's best mechanisms that you have to say, hey, there's a problem and I need to do something about it. So we don't want to ignore the symptoms. We want to make sure that when we have a symptom that we know what to do about that. So that is the intent of the Posture Podcast. I am going to do my best to make this as entertaining as fun, entertaining and enjoyable as possible. Injury, pain, this is definitely not something that people can categorize as enjoyable. It is devastating, and I acknowledge that. I am not trying to minimize that. What I am trying to do is to make this entertaining enough to the point that I can help people to actually make the decision to do something about it. There are things that can be done, and we have been very, very successful with helping these people over the course of my career. And I want to be able to bring that to you. So if you have questions that you feel comfortable commenting below, comment below. And I will start the inventory of the questions that we can get through. If you do not feel comfortable in posting those questions in the comment section below, I will link in the video description the email specific to where you can email me directly, and I will do my best to answer them. I would love to create a conversation back and forth between me and you so that we can help everybody out there. If you know somebody that is struggling, most of the people that we deal with that are dealing with some type of an instability are already part of a community. They already know people. They already are in a discussion with them. Please share this podcast with them. If you feel like this is something that you want to have a regular indication or a regular push to be able to say, hey, there's a podcast that's been released, then subscribe. You know the drill. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Do what you can to be able to stay current with the podcast. I'm really, really excited. I feel like this is my passion project. I've been working on the Posture Academy, the program, for over 7 years, actually almost 8 years now. And but this is the first that I've created the actual podcast, and so I am not going to be refined. I am not going to have perfect videos, but the intent is to be real, to basically express who I am and to share the knowledge that I have. So again, comment below, subscribe, share, do the works. Let's get the message out. There are things that we can do to help you. There is hope. And I want to bring that to you within this podcast. So we will see you on episode 2 here very shortly. And thanks for stopping by.